Oh, hi guys, it's me, Phil. I know it's been a while since my last video, but hey, it's 'cause I've been busy. But hey, in my time being busy, I got myself a little something cool. It's called the HTC Vive, and it's a virtual reality headset that was $800. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on it. My thoughts, my opinions, my feelings, whether I think it's worth it, um, whether I regret my purchase. I guess I'll start with that. I don't regret my purchase. I quite enjoy this thing. It's unlike any video game experience I've ever had before. It's really unlike any experience I've had before. There's a bunch of great, interesting experiences you can download right now. They're all a little pricey, but there are certain ones that aren't so pricey that have become my favorite. One of which I'll have some gameplay footage of later in this video, is Hollow Point. But let me talk about some of the initial concerns that I had, that, whether or not they were actually an issue. So, one of the big sort of complaints about VR before its inception, or before its commercial release rather, was the screen door effect. Now, if you're not familiar, the screen door effect is basically when the resolution of the screens in the VR headset aren't high enough resolution, and it gives it the appearance, it gives the picture that you see the appearance that you're looking through a screen door. That's still there in the consumer releases, but it's really not that big an issue. And the resolution is high enough where you can sort of ignore the screen door effect or just get used to it. Some people say you stop noticing it. I notice it basically all the time, but that doesn't mean that I'm having a worse experience because I'm noticing it. It's not like looking through your regular eyes. It doesn't have that clarity, obviously, but it is good. It looks good. You can make out detail. You can read text. Sometimes not like at the edges of your vision, but you can read text in the center of your vision quite easily. And I think the screen door effect actually sort of makes games look better sometimes. It gives sort of an extra texture to the textures in the game, and sort of convinces you or makes your mind fill in the blanks a little bit with extra information. So, yeah, that's not too much of an issue. It's definitely noticeable. It's definitely something I hope improves in the future, especially with new graphics cards like the 1080 and 1070 coming out, able to handle like better resolutions. And the 1080 and 1070 also have this technology where rather than rendering both eyes, it only needs to render one and then can like compensate with a different angle. There's some interesting technology there that should really improve the efficiency of VR rendering, virtual reality rendering. Space. So the Vive is different from the Oculus in that it's not, it can be a seated experience, but it is most often not a seated experience. You're most often, and you'll see this later, standing in an open space, walking around, able to turn 360 degrees and have the whole experience be on your feet. And you're not moving with a controller. It comes with these motion controllers, and I'm going to go grab one while taking off my headset this time. These little motion controllers that have a lot of functionality to them. So you've got grip buttons on the side, which you can press by just gripping, like squeezing your fingers on the controller. It's got a trigger, which is analog, and you can also click it. So, you can have like a charge with the analog section and then click in to fire. And then there's this, which you may recognize from the Steam controller. I did a video on the Steam controller a little while ago. And this has been great for like sort of changing weapons and things in games. It's basically a touchpad, a circular touchpad that clicks and it recognizes where your finger is on the touchpad. So there's a game called Space Pirate Trainer, which I'll upload some gameplay from later, where you can pick your weapons by putting your finger at a certain point on this circle and then click in to switch it. Then it's got two buttons on the top and bottom, and you see all these little nubs on there. That's for tracking. So it's all tracked, one-to-one real-time tracking. Very good. And it's all tracked by these things called light boxes. So you see one's over there up on that light stand, and another one right there. The light boxes don't need to be connected to your computer, which is very nice. They just need to be plugged into the wall. And they do a pretty good job of tracking. I think they're probably like the least consistent and reliable thing in the box, though I might be misattributing some errors to them when it's really something else. But you can basically just split them far back, and they'll track a space. So here I have like just a lot of floor cleared out, and I've been moving this chair when I've been playing my games. I moved the couch back up in the studio up here, and it's been great. You can walk around like underwater and space and all this stuff. It's really, really cool. I guess my main issue with the setup process is the length of the wires. The power cables for the light boxes are like kind of annoyingly short, to the point where I did need to get an extension cord for one of them. And basically all the cables that come in the box just feel a tad too short, except perhaps the actual headset wire coming off the back of it, which is a pretty good length, and I was able to easily walk around my whole play area without tugging at any point. I'll talk about the wire when we get to the Hollow Point gameplay, because that is the one game that really makes it a bit of an issue. But the wire isn't a huge issue. What else is there to talk about? I guess the packaging was very nice, and the interface when you're in Steam is very nice as well. There's some free software that you can get. Valve made a game called The Lab, which has a few little VR experiences in it. I didn't spend a bunch of time in there, but there are a lot of free demos that are very fun that you can get a lot of fun out of. One I really recommend is Budget Cuts, and I bought the Vive early enough to where I got 3 gigs for free. Google's Tilt Brush, which is an amazing way to introduce people to VR. I'll have some gameplay of that going up on my channel a little later. Fantastic Contraption, which is a sort of physics puzzle game, and one more. I gotta remind myself. Job Simulator, which is a really great way to get introduced to VR. I'll put up some of that too. So a big phrase that's thrown around when it comes to VR is the term presence, and presence is when your brain is convinced that you're in an area where you are in fact not. Where your brain is convinced that you are in a virtual reality space as opposed to a real space. Presence is immediately... you do experience presence. Immediately experienced with the Vive. The game Job Simulator has a level where you are a fry cook, or a gourmet chef as they call it, and you are in a pretty small area. You have about 3 feet by 2 feet, maybe 4 by 2 feet to walk around. My play area is bigger than that, but I didn't feel... I felt claustrophobic. I felt as though I was in a space that was smaller than the space I was actually in. And I found that the people who I have shown VR to feel the same way. Even like sort of gamers who are, inclined to sort of lean over things or like try to go where places they can't go. I introduced this to a friend of mine named Nate, and he was I say lean over things earlier. That would be the opposite of what I would expect someone to do. He was like leaning over things. He felt like he couldn't go into the counter, even though there was nothing actually there. His brain was tricked into thinking he was in a smaller space than he was in. And that's incredible. It's an incredible experience to have your brain tricked. You like in the forefront of your brain, you know you're not in this place. Like your conscious brain knows, but your subconscious brain believes that you are in a smaller space than you actually are. Let me just get into the Hollow Point gameplay. So let me put that over. So here I am. I'm in this game Hollow Point, right? This game is only $8, which is awesome. And it's actually an incredible workout. So the game plays basically, you have a bow and arrow. It's full 360 degrees. You're shooting arrows at these holographic cubes or holographic dudes coming at you. And the cubes, when you shoot at them, they can shoot back. So not only are you trying to shoot everything fast enough that it doesn't hit you, but you're also dodging the bullets that are coming in. It's incredibly fun, and it brings me to the topic of the wire coming off of the back of the Vive. This was a big worry for some, that the wire was going to get in the way a lot and you were going to be tripping over it. That has happened. I have tripped over the wire. I have stepped on the wire and pulled my head back with it. I have stepped on the wire and did a big turn and pulled it out of the base station. A little cable connector. Thankfully, the Vive comes with a little cable connector so that the cables that come from the back of your PC go into it and then go into this connector, so that if you do rip the cables out, you're not ripping them out of your PC, possibly doing permanent damage to your motherboard. You're only sort of ripping them out of this base station that has sort of a looser connector so that it doesn't get damaged. This has happened 2 or 3 times. It's been ripped out, and the cables are fine. It's not really a huge deal. Is the wire an issue? Not really. You get used to it. You learn to sort of compensate for it. It's best to play without shoes so that you can feel it and be cognizant of it. But it's really just something that's auxiliary to your playing, and you just sort of become aware with it. You know when to sort of kick it out of your way, and it doesn't really get in the way of your gameplay. I've really been enjoying this. I'm going to put up some more videos of me playing things on the Vive, looking real stupid. You look real dumb, but you feel real cool in these games. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and hope to see you again with my next videos. Goodbye.